All right, TGIF everyone. It's Friday, week 3. It's kind of crazy. I feel like there is a duality of this week. With everything that is going on in Orlando, it seems very drawn out and long, but at the same time, when I look back at all the work we've been doing this week, it kind of went pretty fast. Being in week 3. So I'm going to start off with a review, but I do want to congratulate you all for getting this far. I want to talk about, I'm going to talk about the discussion board when we get to that in the lecture. This is not going to be a long go-to session. However, at the end, I'm going to open up for any questions that you have. I asked that if you had any specific questions about your rough draft or you wanted me to look at anything, that this session would be great for that. So without further ado, I'm going to go over the review. And it basically is food for thought. What I've been already saying, what we've been discussing on the discussion boards in the go-to sessions. Just as you go into this weekend and you start really understanding what is to go in the rough draft, main things that you should be looking at. And when you do go back and reflect and look at everything, are you hitting upon all these points? Are you putting yourself in your audience's shoes and remembering what you needed that first week as that audience member? Are you providing that for your potential audience? Are you giving them everything that they need in order to stay engaged throughout your presentation? Are you giving them that invitation at the end to make a decision or to make a choice? So these are things that you should question. So the first thing is content. How do you make that impact? And if you look back at the feedback I provided for your plans, this is your why. Going back to the very first week, my very first post that I posted in discussion board, at the end of it, the first thing I say is get them to feel. So remembering all that from our first session together, getting your audience to feel, make them feel, remembering that emotions is the universal language here, that we've all been at a place in our life where we felt a level of emotion, whether it's happiness or it's pain or suffering or triumphs or tribulations. We've all been there at a certain extent. So are you conveying that message? Are you making your message clear? And are you making it speak from your heart so they can see what you see? Remember that if you don't believe in what you are saying, or you don't believe or have confidence in what you're saying, how can you expect your audience to have the confidence or believe what you believe? And that really is the essence of what Simon Sinek has taught us with his idea of the golden circle. I wish that I can go and shake his hand and say thank you for making this and thank you for bringing this to light, because it's something that I have believed in before I even saw that TED Talk, and now that I have something concrete to provide for you, I just love it, and it's effective. So what I've been seeing, especially through the plans, you all know your story. You know who you are. You know what you want. You have this desire to move forward. You've made the choice to come to Full Sail and pursue your dreams. So it's all about taking that inner desire and inner strength and illustrating that for everybody else, so they understand what you want. And here is the audience saying, oh, okay, that went fast. Sorry about that. But remembering back from our very first session, the audience is the hero. They're the ones that are there to embrace your message. Tiffany, I'm not sure why you don't see my screen. I do have the green light at my end that you can see my screen. Is that the case for everyone? Okay, Chris, you see it. Tiffany, yeah, you may have to go back out. Okay, awesome. Awesome. Good luck with that. Don't worry, we'll be here. So we'll welcome you back, Tiffany. No worries. Okay, so the focus should definitely be on your audience, because they are your hero. They're the ones that are going to make the decision. So whether you are pitching an idea to investors or a creative team, or you are selling yourself to a company to be a part of who they are and what they represent, they're your hero, because ultimately they're going to make the decision. You are in the business of being able to move forward on a path. And you have these ideas, and you have done the research, you have been through the school, you've developed your skills. Now it's time for them. You're planting the seed, and it's in their hands. So knowing who your audience is and focusing on that will direct your entire presentation. It's going to make you adaptable. It's going to it may even alter the stories that you want to tell based on who you are speaking to at the moment. And tell your stories. Tell your stories. It goes back to when we were children, and having that desire for our parents to read us a bedtime story, or that excitement when we started to learn how to read for the first time and we couldn't wait to read a story to them or read a story to our younger siblings. And then as we started getting older, it turned into sharing these stories with our friends and, our siblings or our neighbors or our coworkers. It's an innate, natural thing that happens to us as human beings. We want to share. Even the shyest people want to share. Even the most introverted people want to share. We all have stories that we want to tell. We all have that spark that that just makes us feel whole. It makes us feel who we are, and it attaches us to each other. It's those human emotions. If we didn't have emotions, we wouldn't be humans. We would be androids, or we would be Vulcans like Spock, with no emotions, or having to try so hard to make that attachment. Yes. Live long and prosper. And it's those stories that really attach us together. I mean, going back to thousands of years, but even hundreds of years. The only way that information got passed, the only way that history was documented, the only way that the kingdoms knew about each other was through story. And they were called bards, and they would go from kingdom to kingdom, telling stories, telling the tales of heroes and villains. And it was the way that education spread. And look how far we have come since then, and look how far communication has come since then. So the heart of anything is a story, and it's the way that we retain information. It's the way that we connect with each other. So, and it's the epicenter of what Nancy has been telling us this whole time is, that spark line and building our ideas around a story. Another important thing is show, don't tell. Okay, so some of my comments, and not all. I'm not. I need to generalize things. I'm not pointing fingers at anybody, but it's something that we do. I am guilty of this also, and sometimes we want to get our ideas down on paper, and we forget that to fill in those details and paint that picture. So show, don't tell is painting that picture, and it's getting rid of those statements like, I'm going to tell you, or this is a picture of this, or here is where I did this, instead of just going right into the story about telling us. It's we don't mean to sound that way, but it can come across as condescending if we are setting our audience up like that, if we are stating some of the obvious things that as audience members they're gonna know. Almost like when on Monday night, when I showed you the image of the apple, and then I showed you the text saying apple, but using both was a little redundant. So, and this is what this week and next week is all about. It's all about going back and reflecting and refining and reducing and catching these things, and knowing that it's okay. It's a part of the process. So on the discussion boards especially, there is some anxiety, and there's some fear and of being scared of going over time and really not knowing how to focus. This is all a part of the process, and that's why this course is set up this way. It's part of the process. Each week builds on each other, and we built this community to help each other out, to help each other recognize those things. Are we going to have redundancy in our first draft? Of course. In our second draft? Of course. But that is the beauty of this whole process. It's getting everything down and going back and refining. If you read any of books or articles on, I'm talking the gurus in the industry, whether it is music or it is creative writing, they all say the same thing, that you have to do your craft every single day, and it's going to change. You're going there, especially writers. I'm reading Stephen King's memoirs right now, and it's fascinating. And it basically, you're gonna write, and then you're gonna go back and write again. And there might be something that you crumpled up in the first time, and you go back to it a couple of days later, or a week later, or even a year later. So it's okay. And I want you guys to kind of find peace in that. Find confidence that it's okay if you are redundant and you have way too much information. That's what the process of providing feedback is for. It's going back and refining and noticing those things. And don't forget that star moment. And it's okay if you don't understand what this is yet. Again, that's what we're here for. You may not notice yourself that there's a piece or pieces of your plan or of your rough draft that are star moments for different people. Know that if you do this effectively, it's going to happen more than once in your presentation. And it goes back to the 5 different ways that you could present a star moment. So you have emotive storytelling. You have visual images. You have repeatable sound bites, like in Simon Sinek's talk, saying it's not what you do, it's why you do it. And effectively making that part of the presentation, not to the point where it's annoying, where this is flashing in your face and it's said every second, but interweaving it throughout your entire presentation. Many of you have already accomplished this. I call it the extended metaphor, and that might be because I'm a former English teacher and a poet, but I could find that in your presentations. Effectively, if you have this theme that is interwoven throughout your entire presentation, and by the end of it, it comes full circle and it's offered as the invitation to embrace why you do what you do, then you have done your job. So know that a star moment can happen at any time in your presentation. It doesn't have to be in the beginning. It doesn't have to be in the middle. It doesn't have to be at the end. It could be every pivotal point. And you may not notice it, and it may take someone else objectively to notice that. I will tell you that especially when you are going into the industry and you are speaking to people that want to know what you could bring to the table and what makes you unique and stand out, your craft. That is going to be a star moment. Your time to show a demo reel or have a beat that you're working on in the background, or maybe drop a couple of bars like in the middle of your presentation. Maybe you want to start it off that way, introducing your skill, showing your craft, showing the artwork that you have done. And again, I understand that you're at the very beginning. You're at the very beginning, that some of your pieces may not be polished portfolio pieces. And that's okay, because it's understood. But it should be that should be the excitement for you, that you're embarking on this journey to gain all this knowledge and all this skill, and it's going to make refined even this presentation. And I hope that you take it with you throughout your entire time. And when you gain that skill, when you gain that insight, that you go back and you add and you refine. But think how cool it is for you to have something like this, and then 3 months from now, 4 months, 6 months, but however you want, you can go back and see how far you become. And it's really cool, and it just lends to building your confidence, and strengthening your perspective. And again, I only speak from experience, and I'm not just putting stuff out there and making things sound good. It's something that I've experienced myself, and it's those little small victories as you go on through the program, it makes you want to move on. It's motivational. It makes you, it validates what you're doing. It validates why you're here. And you need to remind yourself of that from time to time. You need to remind yourself of that desire, of that passion. It will keep you going forward. I just wanted to introduce this. This talk, it's awesome. Angela Lee, she just has the presence on stage. And this talk is only, I believe it's 6.5 minutes, but you don't have to quote me on that. It might be closer to 6. However, it's very impactful. She talks of self-discipline and really about the power that we have individually, and what we can do, what we can showcase, what we can offer when we become that mentor and share our ideas and share our ideals, our passion. So if you get a chance, I do recommend you just to take a look at this TED. It's well worth your while. Okay, so last thing that I'm going to close out with before I open up to Q&A is something that you guys are going to be doing starting week 4. So I sent out on Tuesday with the recorded session, I sent out an announcement, an email, stating that your rough drafts are going to be submitted in 2 places. I noticed that some of you have already submitted a rough draft already, which is cool. But understand on Sunday, I'm also going to open up the peer feedback discussion board for week 4. So what that does is you are going to submit your rough draft to week 3, 3.4. And then you're going to submit to a discussion board. I believe it's 4.2, and it's the peer feedback discussion board. So whatever you submit to me, you are also going to post that on the discussion board. And what that is devised for is for you guys to give each other peer feedback. So what you received from me is I went over extensively with contents in your plans, and offered, kind of a breakdown of the 3 pillars of the presentation, and gave you suggestions based on the information that you gave me. So my focus when I look at your rough drafts is going to be mostly on design. I'm going to look at design and give you some pointers on your images, on how your visual story flows. But I'm going to expect that you're referring back to all the feedback that I've given you thus far. Even on the discussion boards, because even on the discussion boards, I've given insight on some things that you can incorporate in your presentation. What I'm looking from you guys on the discussion board, and you will get this in your instructions, is really looking at everyone's presentation holistically, and that you understand all the concepts that we've been learning throughout the entire month, and you could really give solid feedback to your peers. And what I'm going to be looking for in turn when you hand in your final presentation is that you were able to receive feedback and go with suggestions, and you paid attention to everything that was provided for you, and you went back and you refined and you tweaked and you polished your rough draft. Does that make sense? Cool. And again, I'm putting this out ahead of time because it is going to be open on Sunday, but Monday night I will be going over more of a focus once it's open. But I wanted to touch upon what we look for in feedback. Okay, so feedback is extremely important, and ultimately, you guys have been doing this already. You've been doing this on the discussion board without it being formally asked of you. So you have been building this community since week 1. First with the community discussion board, and I posed that question, how could you be limitless? And I was so impressed by the outpour of that first week. Just having a presence and giving yourself time to reflect on what that means to you and what that could mean for this fresh start, and building that conversation, inviting others to communicate with you and connect with you. So you've already been doing this. You've already been building this community. And I'm just gonna open all of these up. Oops. This is why I hate slides. I don't create these, unfortunately, but most of these they blend in, okay? So giving and receiving feedback is pretty much one and the same. You want to have the same open mind and cultivate a growth mindset, because we had conversations about this since day one. We're all here in the same boat. We're here to support each other and celebrate each other. Everyone has something in here to bring to the table. We're all creatives, and how wonderful it is that we have that opportunity to share it with others. And who knows, maybe grow or create something that is spectacular together. So hopefully, and I mean, I feel this way, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like we have all created a safe environment. Everyone has, for the most part, has been able to speak their mind and share their stories and share their opinions, and it's all with an open mind. And what I've been seeing on the discussion board is nothing but support and, answering questions, easing each other's minds, connecting with similar experiences, and understanding each other, and knowing that making you all feel like you're not alone in the journey. So I think it has been amazing. I don't think I have anything to worry about with creating a safe environment. You want to be positive, and of course, is this always the easiest thing to do? It's not. It's not. But positivity is it's just the basis of growth and support, even if it is constructive. And you don't want to be destructive, you want to be constructive, and it goes with having that open mind and being open to knowing that you can evolve, that there's always room for improvement, and being able to take that with where it's coming from. It's coming from a place that is supportive. It's coming from a place that someone is going through the similar journey that you're going through, and had one point in their life had someone tell them what they can improve on. Be specific. Now, this is really important, because sometimes, and I'm not saying that it's happening now or pointing any fingers, but sometimes we're really quick to say, that was awesome, man, or that sucked. Could you imagine that after all the work that you've put in, especially the plans, I'll make the plans as an example. If you put in all the work and the research, and of building that plan and putting detail in it. And all I said was, good job. And that was it. How would you feel? Would you be a little bit mad at me? Does that give you any direction whatsoever? Okay. Maybe not mad, thank you, Antonio. But you definitely would want more. I know for a fact that I would get emails and emails and emails about specific questions. So it's a waste of time then, because you're going back and forth, and then you're gonna have to rewatch a presentation or reread. So you want to be specific and aware of it or not. I've been grooming you guys to do this since week 1 in all the discussion boards by, modeling that behavior, picking out something from your post that intrigued me or made me feel an emotion or some kind of connection, and commenting on that particular thing that you wrote, and encouraging you guys to do the same by inciting something that caught your attention and made you want to read on. So being specific, and I'm sorry, I fumble on that word all the time, but being specific, it helps the person that's receiving the feedback. And it also helps you. It helps you in the fact that you, by reading someone else's work and inciting some things that they can improve on, and things that they should celebrate because they did awesome on it, it makes you reflect on your own work. It makes you start to be aware of things that maybe you should pay attention to. So, awesome. Tira, that's awesome. I hope that occurs throughout your entire journey through the program. So, for those that are going to watch this later, she says that this actually helps me with my communication skills. Awesome. Awesome. And I hope that continues, and you feel comfortable to ask questions. You feel comfortable to reach out to each other. I'm going to get to our discussion board for this week, but I think it's awesome, and I've already commented on that before already on the discussion board. Asking each other questions and then chiming in and giving each other things to look for. Well, I researched this. Why don't you check this out? Or, yeah, I know how to edit, so here you go. That's what you need. Because it's not going to stop here while you're in this class. It's not going to stop when you're in Full Sail. And it's going to carry over into building communities within your industry. And you all need each other. And communication is the key. It is the key for success, is to be able to communicate with each other, because we need each other regardless of how much inner strength that you have as an individual, regardless of how much talent that you have as an individual or skill. We all need each other at one moment in time. Oh, that's so sweet. You all are my heroes. I need you all. I love it. I love it. Be immediate. Why do you think I would put something like this in there? Why would I say something like be immediate? What does that mean? Okay, in a sense, you all are correct. Because this time consuming, absolutely. I mean, keep me in your heart when you do this, because know that there's 3 sections of you. So yes, it definitely is time consuming, looking over presentations and reflecting and giving back really solid feedback to each other. Chris, in a way, yes, direct and to the point. Um, I can see where you're going with that. And Tira, stay ready. Yes, all these things are not are correct. However, it really is more simple than that. If you watch a presentation and it's supposed to be for anywhere from 3 to 4 minutes, and then you get distracted because your favorite show popped up on Netflix and you watch Netflix, and then you come back, you're like, oh, I need to give Chris his feedback. What happened in that period of time? Yes, you've got stuff. Okay, totally forgot about Chris's presentation because you were watching Bob's Burgers or whatever it was, and you have to watch it again. So it all goes back to how time consuming. Watching through a presentation the first time already, I don't know about you guys, but I need to watch presentations at least twice. So already that is a crazy amount of hours, especially when you're talking about 75, sometimes 100 presentations to go through. It's very time consuming. However, I feel in order to really get a grasp on the presentation and being able to provide that feedback, twice is what I need to do. The first time, I like to look at things holistically and listen for the flow of the presentation. And the second time is, the detail. But could you imagine that in the middle of that, I go and I make myself a sandwich, or I watch a TED Talk or whatever. Okay, I'm using my time wisely watching a TED Talk, but I'm not able to provide you with the specific detail that you need. It's going to be skewed because I'm going to forget some of the things that I saw. Does that make sense? Cool. Provide tough love. And I know this is tough. I know it's hard. And I usually equate it to not America's Got Talent, the other one. That went off the air. Oh my God, yes, American Idol. I can't believe I just had a moment of senioritis. I did not, that just totally left my brain. So I usually equate it to American Idol, that you don't have to be as soft as Paula Abdul, because that doesn't really help that doesn't help the people that you're providing the feedback for, looking through rose-colored glasses and making everything okay. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that you have to be Simon Cowell either. But the truth hurts, and it's that tough love that helps us grow. And it's a two-way street. You have to be strong enough to be able to deal with that feedback. And this industry is unforgiving. So I always felt bad for those that were up on stage and they would get ripped apart because they were terrible. They were so terrible, but their whole life, the people that surrounded them gave them false hope and were pointing out things and padding them and making their quote unquote talent seem more than it really is. And they were setting them up for destruction. So, Tiffany, are you saying when I look at your presentation? Don't worry, I'm not Simon. I'm definitely not Simon. But sometimes you need that. You need to hear it. You need to hear the truth. My best friend is my best friend because she will tell me to go back and change if she'll be like, no, that doesn't work. I'm not going out with you. So, I mean, luckily it doesn't happen too often. I think I have a pretty good fashion sense. But the truth is, like, I'd rather have the person that tells me I have a booger in my nose than let me stand up in front of the classroom with a booger in my nose the whole time. So, tough love is needed. And it just goes back to being positive. You have to put it in a way that is not harmful. It's not harmful. It's not condescending. You're pointing out something that works. However, consider working on this. Chris, that's a good guy to have in your life, in your inner circle. Absolutely. I think someone that could save you from embarrassment is a good thing. I don't think it should be viewed as trying to hurt you. It's helping you. So that's a good guy to keep around. There's always room for improvements. This is actually a picture. There is a camp that exists. It's called Camp Failure. And I know that it sounds horrible, but really it's surrounding yourself with people that have been through it. Because failure is something that we all deal with in our life. And it really is how we choose to deal with it that makes us stronger. I always said, and I think I said this in the first week, it's really not about how bad you fall off that bike or how many times you scrape your knee. It's all about the choice that you make to get back on that bike that makes you successful. We need it. We need failure to learn and give ourselves opportunity, because that's really what it is. Failing at something is not the end. I view it as an opportunity to try again, or to change my path, or change my perspective. So it's not a defeat. It's not a defeat. It's only a defeat if you let it be. And just think of how many times if you let that fork in the road, or you let that obstacle, or you let that time where you fell off your bike for the first time and scrape your knee, deter you from doing it again. You stifled yourself from moving forward. So having that mindset and understanding that it's okay to fall, it's okay to bleed sometimes, it's okay to have a scar. It's all reminders of the work that you put in, and the determination and the strength that you had to go to move above it and evolve. And absolutely, Chris, scars are great stories. They really are. And it's almost illustration and proof of your credibility. So absolutely. Well, Tiffany, my pleasure. And I'm not alone. I have so much support from this class. I truly believe that you all have such an intricate part in making everybody feel comfortable, just building the environment that you have built. So yes, I'm the facilitator, and I have the title, but I really think the thanks should be on the way that you guys have been conducting yourselves. And it's been beautiful to watch, and I appreciate it, and I thank you guys for inviting me to be a part of it. I think it's those things that make me feel blessed every day to be an educator. So I thank you. Okay, so week 3 is the integrative learning, and that is it is the discussion board. And I touched upon this on Monday night. There's no pressure. It's not something that's going to be graded. It's there for you guys to reach out to each other and help out. And I've seen amazing things. I've also commented back on those that have shared on that board thus far. I'm not just saying this, but this is the first month that it has been spectacular. The interaction, sharing all these different ideas, and I have to admit, some of you guys made me giggle and smile with your audio that you shared. It's just, I love your personalities. I love that you had fun with it. And, that's what it's all about. You should have fun. You should offer your personality. And I thank you for that. I think that was extremely cool. And something that your audience is going to look for. They want to know your personality. It's one thing to say that you're creative and motivated and passionate, but it's another to show that. We can all say those words. We can all say anything we want. We can all say have a great work ethic. Well, those are words until you show, and actions speak so much louder than words. Just as an example, and I know that I may be going off kilter for a little bit, but especially in Orlando, having this community and what has transpired since last weekend, it's sad and it's uplifting at the same time. And there are those, and there will always be those that make it about something other than what it truly is about. And I'm not going to go I'm not going to go into politics or anything like that, but there was one example of the beauty of this world, and it brought me to tears. It was a homeless man that went to the site, one of the sites, where there were candles and flowers, for those that lost their lives. And he was just standing there in silence and relighting all the candles that were on the ground that blew out overnight because of the wind or the rain. And that's all he was doing, was relighting the candles. And someone from afar videotaped this, on their phone, and they put it through ABC. And it hit me. It just so hard that it made my chest hurt. And it's that impact. It's those unspoken actions that speak way louder than any words that you can provide. And that's what this world needs. This world needs action. It doesn't need empty words. It needs action. And I feel like that was a strong example, even though it's outside of the scope of our assignment. But that's the impact that you should be reaching for. The action speaking louder than your words. And that's the idea of illustrating your passion. That's the idea of illustrating your desire and painting that picture. And you could do that through story. You can paint that picture through story. And I have the confidence that you guys can do this. I mean, going back through the discussion boards throughout this entire month and sharing all your insight and your vulnerability, you all have the power to do this, and you have been doing it. So hopefully you will take a deep breath and know that you can do this, that you have this. And I haven't been more excited to see these final projects than I'm so excited. Okay, I just to review, I will be opening up this peer feedback discussion board on Sunday. So when you make your submission for the rough draft, you will post it there, and you will post it to the discussion board. In the past, I have put teams together, or actually, I haven't done this. I'll be honest with you. I keep it open. So all I ask is that when you do make feedback, you look, and if there, I would like you to provide feedback to those that don't have any comments first, and then move on, if that makes sense. So I want to try to provide feedback to everyone on the discussion board. So if you go on the discussion board and you see that a person has 2 comments already and the next person doesn't have any, I would ask if you would go to the person that doesn't have any comments first. And of course, I'm going to send out an announcement and send out an email with all this information. So don't worry if you forget. It'll be on the discussion board itself, and of course those reminder emails that I send out. Cool. oops, it went off my questions, but now that I've talked your ear off for an hour, I'm going to open up to you guys. If you have any questions or you want me to look at something, any concerns about this rough draft at all. Good question. The maximum time is 4 minutes. So ultimately, in the final presentation, you cannot exceed 4 minutes. Now, I know that gives a lot of people anxiety, but that is why we go through all this of having the rough draft and feedback. Do not stress yourself out over the time for the rough draft. If you go over 4 minutes, like if you approach 5 minutes, this is going to help me provide that information for you. Maybe you should look at this in this section and pick the one that you feel is the strongest message, for hypothetically. So do not stress over the time. I do know that it is in the rubric, but it's a very insignificant part of the rubric. It's not many points. Where it's going to make an impact on the time is the final presentation. And the only reason for that, and it's not because I'm an ogre or any of the other instructors for this class are a Gestapo. It's really setting you up for the industry. Going forward, 30 seconds can mean thousands, if not millions of dollars for a company. If it could be a loss in a financial loss for a company if the guidelines go over. So it's grooming you a little bit for the industry and what you're going to see. I will tell you this, and again, I'm speaking from experience. I think it was the third class that I took. One of the assignments were that we had to make a commercial for the protagonist that we built. We had to build a character, and one of the assignments was to make a commercial providing insight to who our protagonist is. Well, the maximum time for the commercial was 30 seconds. 30 seconds to showcase the personality of our protagonist. I freaked out, and I was in your shoes. I freaked out. I had so much anxiety over it, but the process was genius, and it helped me out so much because I started refining. I started focusing on the strength and the main points to get my who my protagonist was. And even though it was only 30 seconds, it was a strong 30 seconds. And it made me stronger as a writer. It made me develop my characters with precision. So it was awesome. And I do hope that that's what's going to happen for you. Antonio, I will be able to look at it probably a little bit today. Would you like me to go ahead and grade it, or do you want to wait until I start looking at them all on Monday? You did get my first comments, right? Okay, cool. Very cool. Awesome. Okay, so again, I don't want you guys to stress the time for the rough draft, but at the same time, please don't send me something that is 12 minutes long. It's very time consuming for me. So please don't send something that is that long. Try to be as close, but don't stress over if it's 5 minutes or even 6 minutes. I will give you that feedback and that guidance. So besides the time factor, does anyone have any other questions or concerns about the rough draft? Cool. Antonio, I think that you are very vulnerable with your story, and I absolutely think that you tied it in nicely. And I made that comments on the feedback that I provided. I don't feel like it was a timeline of any kind. I don't feel like you spent too much time on anything in the past. I think you created that extended metaphor that I was talking about in the beginning of this lecture, really introducing that and tying it in at the end with your invitation. So I thought that was very, very strong. And Chris, as I recall, it's I believe you need to provide more details, and you have you had a solid foundation for your plan. You just have to provide the details and do more of that show don't tell, if that makes sense. Let me see. This is going fast. Nestor says, can I just turn in a PowerPoint with some images and audio? If that's going to provide everything that you need feedback on in order to make a solid final presentation, then yes. But make sure that you do have audio in there. That is a requirement. Awesome. That's good to hear, Nestor, that you got it all down. And Antonio, yes, you have been blessed with a lot with many of your classmates reaching out to you. I think Elizabeth gave you a lot of great points as well. And I agree, sometimes, especially, I don't see it on your guys' face. I see it with my campus students. They get a little freaked out over 4 minutes. But it's funny because it's either they're freaking out that it's not enough time, or I have those that freak out that it's too much time. So it all depends on what your ultimate goal is. And then, like I was saying with that commercial, what it does is it makes you be aware of what really is necessary, what is necessary to convey your message to your audience, and what is necessary to make them see what you see. Is it necessary to repeat some things? We all have these amazing stories, but sometimes we tell the same story. Like it's two different situations, but it tells the same thing. It has the same moral to the story, if you will. And it makes you reflect and refine. And it's so important. And Antonio, I'm glad that it happened. I'll read that because when you watch back the recording, you guys can't see the chat box. But Antonio says, if I had more time, I would have used slides and hit the other points. But with the allotted time, I went with what mattered to me, the emotional aspect. And you really do. You start to realize what really matters. What's the heart of the presentation? What is not necessary? There's some things that are not necessary. Sometimes, we go slide happy and we think that we need all these different slides and all these different images, but it's not the case. And you find that out by building, reflecting, and reducing. So it helps you out that way. And yes, it almost forces you to get to the point quick and pop it out. Exactly. My words exactly. Actually, I couldn't have said it better myself. So yes, good planning. Thank you. So I have all the confidence that in the world that you guys are gonna give me great stuff. And look forward to this following week, of things that you could work with, and have that open mind that we're all here to support and help each other out and give great advice. I mean, every single thing I've been reading from other classmates, it's great advice. It's really insightful. It's specific. It's geared towards helping that person out with any skill level they have. So I think it's awesome. Antonio, I really wouldn't worry about that at this point. And I sort of commented on this on Monday night. I'm not here. This class, I'm not here to grade you on your technical abilities at this point. I'm not an audio teacher. I'm not a film teacher. I'm instructing you on the concepts of building a really solid and creative presentation, and giving you the ability is to tell your story and create a presentation based around a solid story, and be able to build on those ideas, and knowing your role as a mentor and knowing the role of an audience. So I'm not gonna look at your presentations from a technical perspective. What I will do is I will reference things from slideology, like on design, on your slide designs, on alignment and proximity, on the flow, transition, stuff like that. But as far as lighting and production, I'm that's above my scope, and I'm above the scope of this class. So hopefully that makes you exhale a little bit. Okay, guys. Well, I will be here. If you have any questions, you can message me, email me. But I really feel like you have everything that you need in order to really kill it this weekend. And hopefully you'll get things done so you can enjoy Sunday and just relax and give your mind a break. So enjoy the rest of your Friday. Enjoy your weekend. Let me know if you have any questions, and I look forward to seeing your builds this weekend.